Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo.
Mema obi biara kwaba eba PENDREAM TV say we are new to the channel, subscribe to channel no na click the notification bell no so. Like ejumade no na share ma afofron so Mensa and Kabi. Na EC e de communique bi ebe to just say omo ba be commence a limited voter registration. Na omo policies bi a omo do tuto akwan mu no na NDC and afenso no Ghanaians and other political parties raise concern say enema wo de gu akwan mu no emwa Ghana for enti kebeya onsesa enema na EC ansesa enema anasa EC anti omusufre ekoswa den conduct limited voter registration. Na say amene wo kasa limited registration no akoso cry I think say getting to 1 week in year. And then kwesi Thrẹats and afenso no man be okan ho said National Security Minister Kan-Dapaah should invite Jane Adukwe Mensa na ontena anasa onenentena se na onche say ade a oye no ebetime de ohaw anasa ebetime de oyene abre oman Ghana. Mepesa obeka me ho na yakotie sene omoka omonsem na ansa na beko no subscribe to channel no na click the notification bell no so like ejumade no na share ma afofron so Mensa and Kabi. PENDREAM TV wo another platform my friend of PENDREAM forum e hono yeje wadwenkyere efa ensema ekoso ewo oman Ghana na ebe ne say obe send o message no afa number ya eda o screen so no through WhatsApp yebe publish ama amansan ate wonka na number ni 0277128777 kame ho na yentie ensema kwesi Thrẹats ena afenso no ne yonko bi a oka no ho omede tuja.
Please, my statement had no reference to what he did at all, you know. Now, you see, this country, I think one of the biggest problems we have is that you elect somebody. It's a process of engaging the person. It's like employing the person. Once the person gets elected, he becomes your Lord. And you have to worship him.
And Savior.
You appoint somebody to a public office. Immediately they become gods. We have to bow to them and worship them and so on. That's a big problem.
They talk at you. Talk
And they have no respect for us. Randy, I was listening to an official of the Electoral Commission official, who is able to make a public statement to the effect that voting is not compulsory if you don't want to go.
That's Dr. Bosman on TV3.
He said so?
Yeah. Voting is not compulsory.
Dr. Bosman on TV3.
Oh, if you don't want to vote, it's your vote is your own headache.
Oh no.
I mean, incredible.
Oh no.
Randy, read the Constitution. The EC has a responsibility to work in such a manner that as many people as is possible will register to vote. That is one of the mandates of the EC.
You see, that's where people raise a lot of issues by intellectuals and all that.
Yeah.
I have a right, a constitutional right,
Yeah.
to be registered as a voter.
Yeah.
I have a constitutional right to vote in an election.
Yeah.
Yes, it is true that in Ghana, elections are not compulsory,
Yeah.
like in some jurisdictions.
Yeah.
But you, the Electoral Commission, your mandate is to ensure that that right I have,
I can exercise
it. So whether I decide that I will vote in an election or not, what has that got to do with your mandate to ensure that the right that I have in the Constitution to be registered as a voter and to vote if I so wish is done?
And this is just a quick question before you come in.
It's unbelievable.
I agree with you.
Unbelievable.
Honorable Paul Essien, my former colleague for Jomoro, this is what they had sent to us. He said in Jomoro, we have to travel 60 kilometers, 80 kilometers, 100 kilometers, and sometimes 120 kilometers to the district capital. And out of the 34 electoral areas, only 4 are close. So you want to deny all these people?
You know up north well. Yesterday somebody sent me about Bole and Bamboy.
Yes, so vast.
The difference, that is over 100
so
kilometers.
Vast.
Just Bole and Bamboy. And
so vast.
For those of us many of us who don't travel up north, you
so
always
vast.
heard Bole Bamboy, Bole Bamboy. So it sounds like his name and Mamobi.
It will take about 1 hour and a half from Bamboy.
You see, and in all of this, as we speak, look, moral society is quiet. Moral society is quiet. Leadership in this society, they are quiet. They are quiet.
So you see, when you have a situation where a member of the Electoral Commission can publicly look us in the face and tell us that voting is not compulsory, if you don't want to register, it's up to you. If you have this situation, what can you expect? You know, when elections are being organized and so on. This is the attitude. Shocking. But this is the attitude. So shocking. Look, I've read the newspapers like all of you this morning. And we are being told that in some places the exercise started afternoon. You understand, when it was supposed to start at 7. That's a problem. We are being told that in some places the officers of the EC did not have the means to verify whether those who are registering now are already on the register. That's a problem.
That is if they go offline.
Yes,
Yes.
but they were offline.
So there's an interesting part. It's good that you raise this issue. There's an interesting part where, you know, I was saying that the EC is directing its officers to do offline.
Manually,
So Dr. Sribo Kwaku, who's the Director of Electoral Services, told the GNA yesterday evening that there were initial hitches with the system on the first day. He said this situation will normalize as the exercise progress. Quote, we've asked them, the officers, to switch offline if they encounter challenges. All those registered offline, the system will review their identities, and if their names appear on the multiple list, they will not vote.
Now, who caused that?
There's a problem. He is proffering a solution. But if there was no problem, would he have proffered a solution as well?
But even because if you know you are a registered voter, why did you go to the center to go and register? If already you are registered, you've registered already.
But you see, there's another problem. Many of our leaders and so on, they like to see the United States of America as the model. I don't. But they see the United States of America as the model, they see Britain as the model and so on. And yet when it comes to doing things related to the interpretation of our Constitution, the enforcement of law and so on, they no longer look to the United States as a model. It has become increasingly difficult to discuss court processes, to talk about matters pending before our courts and so on. Because we've all been frightened into the situation where we feel that, hey, if you don't take care, the laws of contempt will catch you. So public discourse on those processes have become so very limited. In the United States, there's a criminal trial, Randy, and it's live on television, and they have lawyers sitting on television discussing the trial as it's ongoing. It is not contempt. In the US, it is not contempt. But if you come to Ghana and a process has been filed and you make a comment about it, it's immediately deemed prejudicial to the outcome of the case. So those of them who claim, or actually not claim, those of them who went to Harvard and so on, who are in love with the US and so on, they should copy everything US. Me, I'm not in love with the US. I have nothing against the citizens of the United States of America and so on. But I think that some of their systems are defective. You understand? But they think that everything about US is, hey, let them show you. Look, this is a major issue which hinges on the respect for the Constitution of Ghana. Major issue. Electoral registration. The whole of the electoral system and so on. The National Democratic Congress and 4 other political parties, including Convention People's Party, LPG, and so on, PNC, go to court. And they ask for an injunction against the process. My brother. Me? My brother.
Yes.
Me?
Yeah.
Up to today, the matter has not been heard. And the exercise has started. I mean, can you believe it? This morning I was having a conversation with a friend, you know, and he was telling me about the issue of whether Joe Osei-Owusu can vote in parliament or not. How it went to court. And within 24 hours there was a determination.
Yes.
Compare that to this one. Compare that to this one. So what impression are we ordinary people in the public supposed to form?
I mean, in which jurisdiction? You see, unless sometimes
What
let
impression are we supposed
us
to
be
form?
a bit dispassionate about these issues. In which dispensation, in which jurisdiction, where we speak about democracy and rule of law and everything, will an interested party in a matter go to court on a Thursday to seek injunction on an exercise that will commence the next Tuesday? Mind you, Thursday and Friday, the only working days. Saturday, Sunday are not working days. So you have the Thursday, they are filing, the Friday, Monday as the working day. Tuesday, the exercise has been advertised to start. And then they file this, and this is not an ordinary Kwame Asante or Kofi Kwati walking the streets of Accra. But these are known political parties. And they go and file this injunction, and they are informed that the Chief Justice is absent, so they cannot be given a return date.
But if he's absent, but
that's the point. That's the point that I'm driving at. That's the point I'm driving at. That how can you be speaking about justice delivery and be saying that the absence
of the Chief
Justice means that a person who's come for
justice cannot be
heard because there's the absence of the head of the judiciary, so they cannot have a return date. And this return date, so they don't get it on Thursday, they don't get it on Friday. And then Friday, later in the day, they are getting text messages from a registrar that I've now been asked to give you a date in October 17th.
Oh, why?
You get what I'm saying?
Why?
Some of these things feed into those things that we want to describe as conspiracy theories. But any reasonable person who sits back and analyzes this, what are the conclusions that you want the person to? I've gone to court for justice. You are telling me that the absence of the Chief Justice, so you can't give me a return date. How?
But Anante, why should giving of dates for cases be handled by the Chief Justice? This is administrative procedure. And can't any other person apart from the Chief Justice to handle this case?
In this case, in this country,
we
have instances where one Supreme Court judge has sat on a matter. One. You understand? There are some things that I can't understand. Maybe it's because I'm not a lawyer. You understand? Maybe it's because I didn't go to Makola. But you see, even as I didn't go to Makola, the lawyers themselves agree that the law must make sense to people like me. Because if it doesn't make sense to people like me, what is the value? The law is being applied on my behalf as a citizen. There are some of these things I just can't understand. And I think it's important that we are all very, very careful, because the consequences may not be pleasant for especially people like me.
Another, let me come in. I really want to re-echo this position, that I don't see why the absence of the Chief Justice must deny a party who have sent a writ or a matter to court to be given a date. Does it mean that when the Chief Justice travels, she goes with everything? Of course,
we
there's
even
somebody.
know that. We even know.
Of course, depending on the
practice, we're even told that anytime the Chief Justice is away, I think the senior most Justice of the Supreme Court acts. So my point is that how can the absence of of a person, the Chief Justice, be a reason why a litigant in a matter cannot have a return date?
I can't believe that.
Have you read the newspapers today?
Yes, which one? Which of them?
I can't believe
the
that.
new headquarters of the Methodist Church.
Yes.
The Chief Justice, who is so busy, that litigants cannot be given the opportunity to litigate and so on, is with some people. Inaugurating the new headquarters of the Methodist Church.
Maybe she has returned from her travel.
And
maybe at the time when, but
I think I should stop.
And what I'm trying to say
before
is
I get into trouble,
I'm not believing that the absence of the Chief Justice should deny interested parties.
That was the reason. They put it out publicly.
I'm not happy.
In fact, you see,
the Chief Justice will not be happy.
In fact, you remember that on Friday, former President John Mahama tweeted about this particular issue. The fact that they had filed a case the previous day, and the absence of the Chief Justice has been used as a reason why they cannot be given a return date. And he cited that as one of the reasons of these judicial issues. Hours after that, the lawyers of those who filed the cases, they received text messages from a registrar that they've now been given 17th October to give to them as a return date.
You see, back to this. I was part of the members of the appointment committee.
So after the exercise has been completed, what is the court going to determine?
Yes. Yes.
What is the court going to determine?
Knowing the Chief Justice.
You see, 1 minute. You see, this, I agree with the court, with the speed with which they had the Joe Wise issue. Matter. Because it was extremely important.
Just like
that, it was a decision that was being taken there and then. So the speed with which the Supreme Court heard the matter and determining within 48 hours, I applaud them. I think it is good. But guess what? How then do you justify the same Supreme Court in the Domelavo matter over wrongful act by the president in dismissing him? It takes 2 years. When that action has been done, in fact, the age in contention, what was even the original age has now come to pass or whatever. And then now the ruling is given. What it means is that then it can only be a guide for future whatever. But the person who was aggrieved by that action of the president and believed that the president had acted in an unlawful manner, it took almost 2 years to get that decision. There again, the powers of the president, when it came to the COVID thing, somebody went to court challenging the constitutionality of that action. It took another 2 years. When people had been sent to jail by virtue of the
disrespect to the
by virtue of carrying out the powers given to the president under those laws. People had been taken to court, people had been sentenced. And then it takes this period for that ruling to come. Once again, for future purposes.
And I think we are all speaking from the same...
Then, in the same manner, the same parliament, another group from parliament then goes to court.
And you are the moderator.
And then till today...
You are the moderator. Leave us...
No, that's... I'm putting out...
You give authorities
and information.
It's okay, it's okay. You leave it for us.
He's not just an ordinary moderator. From the beginning of this show, he has always been a participating...
So allow us to do more of the talking. Then once in a while you...
No, I'm just giving you... I'm just giving information.
What the information is...
And I'm saying, you see, all of us...
I agree with you. I shared your pain and your concern just like any other Ghanaians and all those who are watching us. We are not in support of whatever is happening. Clearly. And I was saying that I was part of the appointment committee members that vetted the current Chief Justice. And knowing this lady, this noble woman, that should not tolerate such things.
Why should...
Yes, Supreme, now the Chief Justice. And knowing her, I was part of that. I asked her a lot of questions. That she will not be happy of what is happening. Why should her absence create this problem? It means that somebody sitting somewhere want to play some game at the end of the day to blame the Chief Justice and blame the current government when we have no role to play in this matter. Not at all. In fact, this action of the EC, for me, I see it as a national security matter. I see this thing as a national security matter because it's about elections where people's vote matter. You travel from Bole or you travel from Bamboy, all the way it can take you, if you have a strong car, at worst it can take about an hour and a half. If you don't have a strong car, a normal tractor that is plying the Bole Bamboy road coming to the district capital in Bamboy and in Bole, how are you going to register? And people live in the hamlets, in the villages, way back. Some to the border at Cote d'Ivoire. And they will have to come to Bole to come and register. All these things are no good signs. That is why I am making this passionate appeal to my sister that please, I am pleading with her. Change your style, change your position, and make it cluster electoral areas so that people can come and write their names. At the end of the day, whoever we want to elect, it will come up. But the way you are doing, somebody sitting somewhere, you might think that you are in bed with government and you are denying people deliberately from writing their names. Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo and MPP, we have no hand in whatever is happening. And because like you said, that Boss Masai said, what? If you don't want to register again?
Voting is not compulsory, so if you don't want to register,
no. That is not a good language. That is not a good language. You are a leader, you are leading, you are serving.
I guess he was saying that in response to why district offices and why not
the electoral areas.
Yes.
But that alone, I don't know what pressure was on his head, but I think that it is not a good language. So I will appeal to him. When you are under pressure, sometimes you need to manage things well.
I wonder how many marks he will give a student in his political science class if a student gave that as an answer. Because elections are not compulsory. There's no big deal if the Electoral Commission does limited exercises in districts and not electoral areas.
In as much as the Constitution gives the EC power to operate, when they are doing things that is inimical, when they are doing things that will not serve the entire interest of the nation, there's a need for us to draw their attention. So I think the coordinator of national security or the minister Kan-Dapaah must invite her. Say, please, madam, what we are doing is not good for us. Take your time and do the needful. Do the cluster electoral areas.
The minister will be in trouble. They'll be shouting all over the place that he's interfering. And
what is interfering? But he's a security. He's in charge of security. And all these things.
This is the minister who went to court and went and told them that, look, if every time you give judgment, it's one way, you create a certain perception. You saw what they did to him. And he should go back again and call electoral commissioners.
That is court. That is court, Anete. That is court. But this one is an institution. And your work that you are doing is raising some concerns and eyebrows. The last time we came, you remember one chief also spoke about it.
Yes.
There was a chief, Gosumahini. He touched on this matter. Look, madam, expand this registration process. If you are a Kratema gown, you are in Bukom when you are crossing, you don't see it. But travel outside and you see.
If you are in my constituency,
you see.
I was to Central, right?
And the people are living on the river, the water river.
It's from Pig Farm to Circle. Finish.
You
can walk.
People are living on rivers.
Central is Pig Farm to Circle.
How do you leave Dodi Island and come to Dodi Asemkro? The only means of traveling is by canoe. And sometimes you are not careful and the weather throws you away. You are finished. I've been told where children have died in the water because of bad weather.
All right, okay, so, well, we'll be back shortly. If there was some allegations that will be dealt with, the chairman of the committee actually allayed their fears and said that, well, nothing was hidden, everything had been given to them and all that. But, you see, what do you make of what has been going on? I have said on this show that quite a lot of what is going on are things that we have heard. We have heard the politicization and all those things. But perhaps this is maybe a clearer manifestation of what perhaps we have heard has been happening in many of our security agencies. I don't know what you think of what is going on, how it's going to end, how that will help us in a more professional and better police service.
Well, first of all, I'm completely surprised by some of the developments. I'm really surprised by some of the developments. You have a businessman and a politician of sorts, and policemen go into conclave and actually discuss how to subvert the 1992 Constitution in graphic detail. A committee is set up to investigate the matter, and so far all we are hearing about promotions in the police service, you know, other administrative things, the eligibility of the IGP and so on, makes me sick. What should the focus of this thing be? It should have nothing to do with the eligibility of the IGP. Indeed, it should have nothing to do with police promotions and so on. Why? If policemen have not been promoted, does that justify that meeting which was held? It doesn't. If the IGP is not qualified to be IGP, does that justify the meeting? It doesn't. So I'm beginning to see a certain shift of focus, which is very deeply worrying for me. Because it suggests to me that if we don't take care, at the end of this so-called probe investigation, we are going to get a raft of observations and recommendations which will bury the central issue of the subversion of the 1992 Constitution. That's my worry, and it's a deep worry. Now, I watched proceedings yesterday, and I was also struck by something. You know, the expression of ethnic, regional, and religious solidarity was sickening for me. I mean, Ghana, we're talking about Ghana. You understand? And in 2023, there is such a public display of ethnic, regional, and religious solidarity in a crucial matter such as the one that the committee is investigating. I was sitting in front of my television set and you know, I was shaking, virtually shaking. What is this? What is this? Is everything now being reduced to religious, regional, and religious affiliation and so on? I wonder, what is happening? Of course, my third observation is that the IGP carried himself very well. You know, he carried himself extremely well. He appeared quite sober. He even showed, you know, some level of comradeship with the people who were making the allegations against him and so on. And I thought that he acquitted himself very, very well. The other thing which was also striking was his effort, you know, and I mean effort, to demonstrate his qualification to be IGP. You know, when he started, the chairman of the committee, that was not a question the chairman of the committee posed. But he found a way of showing how he joined the police service, the various ranks he's been through, his educational qualification, and so on. And I was left in no doubt that in terms of qualification to be IGP, he was as qualified, you know, as any other person who will be IGP is qualified, if not better. And then I thought he also had an opportunity to explain what his administration has done. And that was in response to the issue of whether or not he's the worst IGP that Ghana has had. And some of the things that he said were very impressive. In fact, I was particularly impressed by his explanation of how his administration has dealt with traffic infractions. You understand? And he made the point that, and all of us knew that, these motorbikes were not respecting traffic regulations. And all of a sudden we've noticed that there's a remarkable reduction in traffic offenses by motorbike riders and so on. He explained it. And I thought that his explanation made a lot of sense, you know, especially in the kind of society that we are, where, you know, small, big people get small posts, you know, then they develop an attitude of impunity and so on. So his explanation made a lot of sense. I have complained on this show before about one morning when I was driving to work, and Mensa, there was a siren, you know, behind us. All of us were pushed off the road and so on. Eventually, when I caught up with this car which was blowing the siren and so on, I found that it was school children going to school, you know. This IGP has managed to put his foot down, and that nuisance has been reduced substantially, and I'm impressed. And he offered a donation yesterday, which was interesting. But my real wish is that the committee will focus attention on its clear mandate as given to it by the Speaker of Parliament. And that clear mandate is to, first of all, authenticate a tape recording, to look at the implications of that tape recording and so on for national security, for you know, adherence to the 1992 Constitution and so on, you know, rather than focus attention on matters that may not appear to be too relevant to the core issue, which is an alleged conspiracy to subvert the 1992 Constitution. You know, the IGP said something yesterday that I completely disagree with. Here is the IGP who is saying that only citizens elect a government and that the police has nothing to do with it. It's not true. If that were true, why are policemen deployed for elections? Policemen are deployed for elections because the will of the citizens, you know, can be subverted. That's why the policemen are deployed. You understand? And there are many scenarios where policemen, especially an Inspector General of Police, can influence the outcome of an election. Look at what happened at Ewasu West Wogon. The NDC, after a few hours of voting, decided not to participate in the election. So we cannot say for sure what the outcome of that election would have been if the NDC had participated fully in the elections and had not withdrawn. We cannot say for sure. So here is a case where intervention by state security actors or persons purporting to be acting on behalf of state security led to a certain outcome. Now in an election, if policemen go to a particular polling station and start shooting and so on, it will scare away voters. And that can lead to a certain outcome which may not be the authentic outcome that could have come out of that election and so on. So Inspector Generals of Police, even ordinary policemen and so on, can influence the outcome of elections. It is not true that the security services cannot influence the outcome of elections. The truth is that security services can influence the outcome of elections, and that is why it is important to have a purely professional security service. That is why it's important that those who supervise elections, those who guard elections, those who provide security for elections ought to be professional. And that is why we should ensure that irrespective of the leanings, political leanings of police officers, which some say is unavoidable, I think is avoidable, irrespective of that, police officers should act professionally, soldiers should act professionally, so that those who claim that the 1992 Constitution is a God-given document which must be worshipped, will be able to worship that document as they desire. You understand? So these are my observations. I mean,
yes,
there were aspects that I was not too comfortable with, but in the final analysis, I thought that the committee came back to focus somehow and manage to glean information and evidence which was useful for those of us in the general public. But Randy, yes, I remember something else. This sitting in Cabra, what is it about?
So there could be there are security implications.
All the issues which have been raised before the committee, there's none of them which warrants an in-camera sitting. None of them whatsoever.
But
Why? That the IGP didn't promote it.
Are you aware that they have had in-camera sessions with some of the witnesses who have come before them, and there are things that they may have told the committee that we are not aware of?
No. In fact, some of the witnesses that appeared before them, they said that they wanted to say certain things in camera.
Okay.
I'm not sure that those in-camera sittings have come on.
Okay.
And in any case, what are they about? Those in-camera sittings, what are they about? Promotion in the service. Huh?
Well, we don't know.
The issues which have been raised now, which of them warrants an in-camera sitting? None whatsoever.
And I've also just read that there have been some petitions from some senior police officers.
It's about promotion.
Ah, okay.
A matter which is already before court. So this in-camera sitting, what is it about? You know, the problem with in-camera sitting in this particular instance is that it can lead to all manner of needless speculation. Allegations have been made against the IGP in public. Yesterday he was told that he was being given the opportunity to clear his name. How does he clear his name in secret when the allegations against him were made in public? So some of these things I don't understand. Maybe
so because on your earlier submission about the committee's work and the fact that you think that they are straying and all that, once you made that comment, I decided to go look at the terms of reference. And so that's what I was putting down. And this is the terms of reference as read by the speaker. The committee is to investigate the authenticity of the leaked audio recording. I'm sure that events will amend that to audio and video. And then investigate the conspiracy to remove the current IGP. Investigate any other matter contained in the audio recording. Recommend sanctions to persons found culpable where appropriate. Make recommendations for reforms where necessary. And make such other recommendations and consequential orders as the committee may deem appropriate.
it doesn't change my position in a bit. It doesn't change my position at all. The central issue, why this became a major issue for even Parliament to take it up, is the fact that a businessman, politician, and police officers, and maybe other accomplices, met to find a way of making sure that the will of the people does not prevail in an election. That's the central issue. It's the subversion or plot to subvert the 1992 Constitution, which is the central issue.
I agree, but in the course of that, a lot of things were said. And then in inviting those who were on the tape, in adbo, that's another matter.
I don't want to make statements which would be prejudicial to the work of the committee or the outcome of the work of the committee. I want to refrain from that, you understand? But nothing in the world can justify a deliberate plot to subvert the 1992 Constitution.
True.
There's nothing which can be justification for plotting to make sure that the will of the people does not prevail in an election. That's my position.
And you think that with the way we are going, that bit is we are losing out on that bit, and the focus is now on the IG.
Whether he's qualified to be IG, whether he's done well, whether people have been promoted.
Whether he speaks with
those are
non-issues.
non-issues. Those are non-issues. This allegation that the Inspector General speaks to the former president on a daily basis is being denied. Okay. But for me, what is the problem? The Inspector General of Police should be able to speak to everybody in Ghana.
That's what he said.
In the pursuit of his work. You want an Inspector General of Police to be able to work efficiently without speaking to the leader of the largest opposition party in our country? How is that possible? Doesn't make sense. Is it a crime for the Inspector General of Police or even the president, the sitting president, to be speaking to a former president? How can that be a crime?
The context within which it's put is where the problem is. That it is put in such a way, you know, it's like creating a certain impression about a person. You know, so it starts from probably he's not one of us. We cannot rely on him to do the things that we all know are done in elections.
The illegal things.
Yes, I'm saying that.
Yes.
And then, so the issue of his relationship as claimed with the former president is then used to sort of vindicate that position. That look, he's working with the opposition. He's working for the opposition. He's working on the instructions of the opposition leader.
For me,
obviously, that's the whole point.
As a matter of fact, those who make allegations also make statements about themselves.
True.
So if you have somebody who wants to be IGP and he thinks that talking to a former president is something which should not be encouraged or is a crime and so on, that's a statement about himself.
But that's not the point he's making. No.
I know.
Yes, that's not the point he's making. I'm not sure that he's saying that he speaks to the former president and it is wrong.
He's an NDC person.
Yes, that's not the point he's making.
But that's the point I'm making.
Yes.
Any Inspector General of Police who believes that speaking to people in opposition to government is unworthy of his post is a bad Inspector General of Police. Why? It is the police which is providing protection for the former head of state. Doesn't that itself necessarily mean that there will be communication between the former head of state and the police? He has a police outrider in front of him. So the police has a certain duty to the former head of state, as it has a certain duty to the sitting head of state and so on. You understand? And for me, these things are just banal, they are inconsequential, they are being thrown in just to confuse the issues and so on. There's a critical issue. Did you meet to discuss how to win elections? Did you meet to discuss how the will of the people can be subverted? Those are the issues.
And how this IGP will not make that work.
Exactly. What is it about this IGP that will not make it possible to break the 8? What is it about this IGP? Come and say it.
You think that the committee is not focusing a lot on those aspects?
I think that's the main focus. I think that's the main focus.
Or that should be the main focus. That's what you're saying.
It should be, and it is the main focus. Unfortunately, it has not become the main focus.
Okay. So I get the point you're making. Okay.
Anita, thank you so much. You read clearly the terms of reference of the Speaker to the committee and what his expectations are. Let me commend Parliament for that great initiative, for what they have done. At the end of the day, the truth will come out. Let me start by commending the IGP for the demonstration of good relationship. For the first time when these accusers have been in this committee.
To be given the opportunity to speak to it.
Oh, perfectly. Yeah. Perfectly. I mean, Atache has done nothing else. Sorry. The Honorable Atache.
I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
When I knew him, he was Atache.
No, he wouldn't mind.
Now he's the Honorable Atache.
He wouldn't mind.
And I think we have to respect that. He could also have been the Imperial Majesty.
Yes.
So,
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Na nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.